Alright, I'm here making a build guide for you for the Tri-Elemental Deadeye gas arrow build that I'm working on, or have been playing for the last, couple weeks maybe. I'm gonna start by showing off a quick map, or a couple maps. I prefer this one. I'm gonna do a tier 12. Hopefully this goes well, no guarantees, and I'll explain stuff at the end. But yeah, so far it's been fun and it works decently, so I'm sure you could push this much further than I. A bit of a close call there, dang. Not too bad so far. Alright, so I'm gonna go over a few things and then we'll ignore all that. We'll get back to doing a boss map real quick. I just wanted to quickly explain. So here's what our defenses look like currently. Nothing too crazy, nothing, you know, wild, but we are on a very tight budget with this build. We have Death's Harp. I personally like these soul cores, Topotante. You can try other ones, but that's what I ended up with and like the most. For the quiver, we go with Skull Dart. That's where we get a bunch of crit chance, we get plus level of projectile skills and 3 additional damages. And that becomes important when I get into the gloves here. This is a required unique. You are splitting the damage of the gas arrow explosions into all 3 elements and getting damages extra of all 3, which I believe does a weird split because of the conversions after. I'm not 100%. Conversion might come first and then extra after, if it works like PoE 1, but seemed crazy for me. I liked it, and I continue to use it. Pulse circling, that's what we use to get the, like, big Herald of Ice shatters, but currently they're not, like, super huge. So you could probably switch this out, since that's not really happening at this tier. Or maybe you could find a way to make your Heralds do more damage, and thus making this better. The other required unique for this build is going to be Radiant Grief. You need this for the ignite nearby enemies. That's basically what that says at the bottom there. And what that does is when you shoot your gas arrow at an ignited enemy, it explodes because of the ignite. And that is what we're converting into 3 elements to then do all damage types and get shock, freeze, ignite, poison. We end up using all 3 heralds in the build, and that's simply because of Coming Calamity. But we'll get to the passive tree in a minute. Here's the rest of the items. I like charges per second as the item base, so you'll want a Fine Belt. Spirit is very important, so you can get all your auras. You're definitely going to need to allocate Fate Finding to get reduced reservation of Herald skills. You just check the tree by holding Alt and looking at the passive by mousing over it. You can search it up in the search bar, but I'll show you guys here too. There you go, Fear, Despair, and Greed. So here's our ring and our boots. And the important thing on the boots is the move speed and life plus resists. You want evasion bases. And the ring, I liked having LE damage and resists. You might want other things, I don't know. That's just ended up how I landed. Ignore this. This was for when I had a charm slot. I don't anymore, I just left it. I only end up using the stone charm. Gems. We have gas arrow. And currently I'm using leverage and inevitable crit to get my crit chance as high as possible and keep it kind of high. Immolate, because we get that 30% of damage is extra fire, but that also becomes fire, cold, and lightning because of the gloves. So this is actually an insane support in my opinion. And you don't need the ignite because you're igniting nearby enemies with your helmet. So then we use Primal Armament for more damage and Concentrated Effect for more damage. and the less area of effect doesn't really seem to matter all that much. It might affect the explosions, but the cloud AoE also affects the explosion size, so it's a little weird. I was frenzied stacking and using barrage here. Now we're only using 4 frenzies, but I still use it. This is what you use to take care of tanky rares or bosses, which I'll showcase at the end of this video for anyone wanting to see it. And then we use attrition for those bosses and rares to just get more damage, and Culling Strike. Wind Dancer gives us more evasion, and then we leech damage when it does damage, blind the enemies and maim them so we can get away. Combat Frenzy, linked with Profusion and Clarity. That helps keep our frenzies up. The 3 Heralds, this is what I have so far. Swift Affliction, Persistence, and Fire Mastery in Herald of Ash. Herald of Ice has Conduction, Magnified Effect, Long Shot, and Cold Mastery. Herald of Thunder is rockin' Electrocute, Biting Frost, Close Combat, and Execute. No reason in particular, just kind of how I wanted my setup, and I wanted to get Electrocute in somewhere. However, I don't think I'm really getting it here. To get Combat Frenzy more often, or have a better chance of, because I currently only get it when I freeze, and that's why I dropped a bunch of Frenzy charges. Here's our passive tree. I started off by coming down here, grabbing this quiver stuff, going through the ailments section here, grabbed this frenzy charge node, and then I came straight out here and started getting this stuff. You want this whole thing because the 18% that you get here and the 15% down here, reduced reservation of herald skills, allows you to use all 3 with the other auras I wanted to use. And we're kind of scaling crit through Struck Through and using Death's Harp for that crit damage. So that's another thing you can look for. I get an extra +1 level to my gas arrow from this passive, and I'm getting extra damage as Cold and Lightning down here. Extra crit chance here. We're gonna try to grab Spectral Ward as soon as possible. We get Careful Assassin for even more crit chance, because we're trying to cap it. Critical Exploit. And then I ended up taking Breath of Fire, Breath of Lightning, and Ice. I just really like all that penetration combined with what the bow has from the Topotantes. And then Exploit the Elements. Not sure if you really need it. I like it. I went up the chance to inflict ailment side. This is just my setup, and no way is it optimal. Yeah. Oh, Ascendancy. We started with Point Blank to get that more damage nearby, with more damage to nearby targets, and that helps a lot because we're usually shooting nearby targets with Radiant Grief, because they're ignited when they're nearby, about 6-meter radius, so yeah. Skills fire an additional projectile, that's just an extra ton of damage. I ended up choosing Gathering Winds. I was gonna go up to Thrilling Chase, but I think I'm gonna pick Wind Ward instead. I just felt the need for speed and less damage taken, whereas the extra frenzy charge benefits lock you down in barrage too much. Like, I don't want to be locked down for too long. That should be enough with enough crit chance, so that's why I dropped all the frenzies. You can go for more. Let's see. We went these for our runes. Just trying to think of what else I could show you guys. And And I think that's it. If you need any more info, ask away. I can show you more or explain more, and I'll leave you with this boss fight. I'm planning to run this tier 13. So that could have went way more smoothly. I just don't have great gear yet. You can upgrade the belt, rings, chest, amulet, quiver, and boots a lot better. But yeah, that's a tier 13 at least, and I'm positive it can go further if you just push it. Those other pieces, it just costs more money than I've been getting. And yeah, I don't really feel like farming the same build over and over. I like making new stuff. So take that as you will. Hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching. More to come soon.